Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lillian coming with another video. Excuse the noise, okay? Excuse the noise, and I'm so sorry, and I hope everything is okay and everything like that. Well, you know. We are back on here. We did a struggle live before. You know, I be needing a rough draft. You know, I really need a rough draft when I take time off and then come back. But listen, it's been a couple of days. And you know what I noticed is that when I don't have to go to work, I don't keep track of the time because I'm not on anybody's time but my own time. And clearly, we have a problem with time management. Clearly, we have a problem. Like, we just get up. Well, I'm not going to say we don't get up. We get up early still. But like, the concept of like time and how long it takes to do things, it's crazy. But I did do my hair, roller set my hair and everything like that. We went through a couple of changes with our hair. Go watch that other live. It was struggle. We had issues with the lights. We're still having issues with the lights. I don't know. Maybe it's user error. Okay. All I know how to do is light myself up. I don't know about everything in the back. I don't know why it's dark. I don't understand. I don't get it. But we're going to do some research, and we are just going to go ahead and buy the proper things. I've also noticed that when we do our live streams that, for me, it looks a little darker on the computer screen. It's not as bright as I have it on my camera. So we're going to go ahead and get the necessary materials for that. I just want to make sure, like, I have to, like, when I think that I need something, I have to do research on it. Because do I need it, or do I just want to buy something? Like that hair dryer. Did we really need the hair dryer? Yes, we did. And it shouldn't have took me a year and a half to figure that out. I should have just took it at face value. And so that's why I want to talk about this, because, you know, I have been struggling with my hair before we colored it, okay? And, you know, I was doing roller sets, indirect heat grows hair. We know that, okay? But I wanted to do my own thing, flat ironing, and now we have added color. And now, I'm not gonna lie, we were struggling because the products that I had before were not good on this hair. And so it was very hard for me to style, very hard for me to get my life together because the products I had didn't work on this new hair, okay? Period. So my idea was like, let's just buy some new hair. Let's just buy some new hair. If the hair don't work, buy new hair. You see what I'm saying? And so I kept thinking while I was buying the hair, when I bought the bleach for the hair, that was not cheap, okay? Destroyed it. Not cheap. Not cheap at all. And you know, I was sitting here and I was just like, I don't know, I had a dream about blow drying my hair, and also the fact that I destroyed the hair. I was like, I think this is a sign that we should figure out our own hair before we not have any, you know? But you know, I didn't have to struggle. There was a commenter on one of my old videos when I was doing the roller sets and I was getting the wigs and doing all this stuff. And she was like, child, if you just get a new hair, the bonnet hair dryer croaked, it died. Here's the story on the other live stream. But yeah, all of that happened. And I chose to be hard-headed, okay? Hard-headed and do what I want to do. And so we have had this funny story of struggle, okay? Now listen, I wasn't going to tell that story. I didn't know how I needed to tell it, but it was a funny story and I wanted to include it because today's video is about you don't have to struggle. You don't. Now my problems are very minute compared to other people's problems. Like that's it. That's for me, girl. What happened if you don't have hair? I'm gonna buy some more. But some people really choose to have a hard life. Now, I have another video on how to have a soft life, and I like to give tangible, okay? Tangible. Let me take the sunglasses off because I'm feeling it in my spirit. I like to give tangible things, okay? News that you can use right away. You know what I mean? When I watch other people who do coaching or just self-development and things like that, it's just very theoretical, very hypothetical. I'm concrete, okay? I'm not very abstract. I'm telling you how to have a soft life. And some people don't necessarily like that, or they don't believe that, and I'm not saying that there's only one way to have a soft life. There's not a one way or one size fits all to have a soft life. Everybody don't want to have a soft life. We talked about that in some of my other videos, where some people, you think they want success, they don't. They just daydream about it all day. They just talk about it all day. They complain about their problems, but they never really do anything to solve said problem, right? But it's just kind of like, you don't have to struggle, okay? And those of us that have figured it out, we're trying to share and report the good news, but everybody don't like that, okay? Now, I'm not going to discount systematic racisms, okay? We're not going to do that. We're not going to discount the fact that we live in a society where it literally thrives on people struggling. In fact, you have to. That's why they love the saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? Well, why would I need to pull myself up by the bootstraps if things were okay for everybody, right? Rags to riches. This society, this country was founded on the haves and the have-nots, exploiting other people, right? So that you can have something, or taking something that was never yours to begin with, right? And making a profit, okay? And so listen, this is not the woo-woo, but that is just the history, and we cannot discount the history. We cannot discount where we come from and what we are experiencing on a regular day right now. This is not the channel for people that believe that slavery was a choice, okay? All right? Oh, I gotta take, listen, this is not the channel for that, okay? All right? Because we live in the real world. But what I'm saying is we need to unlearn, okay, deprogram the struggle mentality in areas of love, okay, and just in your regular day to day, okay? We got to, and I feel like, we like that because we are in the 3D. Your girl is woo-woo. You know what it is. We are in the 3D and we're here to learn, okay? We're here to learn and we're here to get our chops, right? So we can get into some higher awareness. That's what this whole life thing is about, okay? But here's the thing. If somebody already got the answer, right? Do we need to find out that water is wet? Do we need to do the research, right? Do we need to do the research to figure out that fat meat is greasy? I'm from the South. Do we need to know? Like, do we actually need to test the theories, okay? And we turn that eye on, the gas stove, we turned it on, okay? Do we need to test it to see if it's hot? Do we need to touch it? Do we need to do things like that? Do we actually need to, like, you know what I mean? Like, do we actually have to test it? They say a hard head make a soft I'm trying to, I got to censor myself, but that's what they say. Do we have to test it? Okay. Now listen, school of hard knocks. I want to learn. I want to learn. Sometimes I don't like the answer that someone gives me. Okay, I don't like the answer. Sometimes I want to figure it out for myself. I want to see for myself. Okay, go see for yourself, right? And I'm not going to say that is necessarily a bad thing to go and have to see for yourself, because I do believe that just because somebody tell you something and it's based off of their perception of reality doesn't mean that you can't create a new perception of reality. Okay, not saying that you can't do that, but what I'm saying is we know that 1 + 1 is 2. We know that, okay? That is mathematically proven. Things that we know, we don't have to test it. We don't have to test certain things. We don't have to see if it is what it is, okay? Like in our relationships, if you know that a person has a pattern, okay? This person has a pattern. Might be a little domestic violence, okay? He got a little temperamental, okay? Problem. You don't have to test that. If he got other baby mothers and things of that nature. Now, we would never judge a book by a cover. Now, that's what people think. People say that, oh, because I'm a librarian, you should never judge a book by. That's all I do. Is this book, okay, going to be suitable for the ages that I am serving? Is this book going to be relevant? Are they going to check this book out? Is this something that they would want? Is this something that I need to spend my money on? I have to judge because I can't buy everything, right? So that's all I do is sit up here and make mathematical, analytical decisions. That's all I do all day, okay? So yes, I do have to judge things by the cover. Read a couple of reviews, have to do the research, okay? In your relationships, you have to do the same thing. If his relationship with his mom is either not good or too good, he is a mama's boy, you might want to get out of there. You might want to. These are things that you just see this right here. It's happening right in front of you. Don't even waste your time on that. Leave at the first red flag. Okay? They had you at hello. They shouldn't have had you at hello, right? Soon as they not gonna be a match. Not gonna be a match. Not gonna be something that I'm interested in. Not feeling it. You know, and I feel like we do live in a world where we need instant gratification. And so we write people off right away. But it's just kind of like, you can't be making them type of mistakes. You can't be doing these types of things. You can't be letting people give you the runaround and say all type of stuff to you. I did a video about communication being vague. If somebody want you, it's Valentine's week. Listen, it's look, get the hair and the nail done, okay? Listen, it's Valentine's week. If he ain't gonna do it, he ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it. So the question is, what you gonna do? You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's 2026, you know, it's 2026. It's just kind of like, why? Let me get my notes. But it's just kind of like, girl, if you know what you know, you don't have to be out here doing research and trying to figure out why, trying to figure out what's going on and everything like that. All right. Okay. Now I feel like we believe that struggle means we are worthy. Okay. Hard work leads to success, and it does. Because that's the type of society that we live in. You go to school, you do your coursework, at the end you get a diploma, you get your degree, and now you are able to get your jobs. But that's not necessarily the case all the way, right? Just like, you know, we go to school and we are hoping to get a job after we graduate. That is not necessarily the case, okay? There might be a shortage of jobs. There might be too many people that are educated and not enough jobs that meet where people can get these jobs that they're supposed to be getting. Or maybe too many people got degrees in fields that are not having enough jobs to hire everybody that got a job or degree in that field, you see. Or it's just you got everything that's going on, racism and systematic and stuff like that, you know. So it's just kind of like, you know, they tell us to take these steps. You do X, Y, Z, element of P. You're supposed to get something at the end, but what happens when that doesn't happen? Now, I'm not saying that, you know, hardship and hard work is, you know, in vain. You know, people do reach success from that, but there are also people who have a leg up, right? Or they figure out some things that are a little bit different. You have people that build their own businesses. You have people that do things, become consultants. You know, they use their degree in a different way. Instead of waiting for someone to give them a chance, they give themselves a chance, and they're able to create their own opportunities, is what I'm saying. And I really feel like that is going to have to be the move, especially with so many people, right? You know, not in the employment, as they are saying. Okay, now I don't like to do the fear mongering. I don't believe in fear mongering. I don't even halfway watch the news like that, because you can't surprise nothing. Nothing surprising under the sun. But it's just kind of like, they tell us to do the hardship, they tell us to do the struggle, and they tell us that it makes you a better person. I feel like what makes you a better person is having learned what you needed to learn after the situation. And after you have learned what you needed to learn, you need to go ahead, collect your chips, and move on instead of relearning the same thing. Okay? That's going to reduce your struggle and how much hard work you have to do. You see that something's not working, if you see that something is not happening the way it needs to happen, we need to try a new strategy. We need to do some more research. We need to get some more, we need to figure it out. And then you also have to know when to let it go. You have to know when to bow out gracefully. Some of us don't know how to bow out gracefully, and we are struggling and we're trying to hit the note, but singing is not your ministry. So you're wasting time and you're choosing to struggle, and you don't have to struggle. You don't have to struggle. The other thing is, like, sometimes we want things so bad and we would choose to force it rather than going with the flow and letting and opening those new channels for better things to come to us, right? Because we're so fixated on this one thing as if this is the only thing that is available, right? And then right there, that's going to put you into that lack and scarcity mentality, because if you believe in abundance, then there are a plethora of opportunities. Just like you got this one job, you can get another one, right? And if you're smart enough to get these jobs, then you're smart enough to create your own. If you got that man, you can get a better man, a richer man, a man that like you, a man that, all of that. You see what I'm saying? It compounds. It's compounding. It's a compilation and everything of that nature. But it's just like, you don't have to struggle. Okay? You don't have to go through some stuff. Okay? I feel like, we feel like struggling. We tie it to the struggle and the hard work. What is the difference between struggle and hard work? Hard work is when you're putting effort. Okay? Aligned effort, okay, towards something that you're working for. Okay? Struggling is like you running, but you running in the wrong direction. You hustling backwards. You see, it's a struggle. It's like pulling teeth, like you fighting for it. Hard work is just you working for it. You're doing something. You have to do aligned effort. You have to do things in alignment. So whatever it is that you want, you have to start with the ending in mind. So you have to, I know I want to be over there, so I need to start walking over there. All right, have a little water and then walk that way. But if I'm trying to go that way, but I'm going over there and I'm a zigzag, see, that's too much. Just go straight. You see, that's the difference between struggle and hard work. The other thing is, like, we make struggle our identity. Like, who are you without the struggle? You know what I mean? Like, who are you without the struggle? We unconsciously pick the harder thing or the thing that seemed like it's just, you got to fight tooth and nail, like these relationships. We would pick someone that we have history with, but we are not compatible because we know that person, as opposed to trying to find somebody else, because we don't want to start all over. We don't want to start from scratch. We want to just be with the people that we know. And that is not necessarily sometimes the greatest heartbreak, the greatest disappointment, comes from the people that you know. Not saying that everybody that you know is a bad person. I'm just saying those connections, like if you know that someone is not for you and they don't care for you the way that you care for them, it is a tough pill to swallow, especially around Valentine weekend and everything like that. They don't care for you the way that you care for them. It's just kind of like you have to let that go, and you have to trust and believe that better connections, better opportunities are going to flow towards you because you got rid of it. Think of the story. I don't know if where Eric Thomas got it from. I love E.T., the hip hop preacher. But anyway, he was talking about the teddy bear or the baby doll or whatever. And the little girl wanted the doll, and her dad had another doll for her, but this one was old, beat up and everything, and they was trying to get her a new one. She didn't want to do it. She didn't want everything like that. And so eventually she gave it up and a new one. And it's like you spend all this time struggling and fighting so you can keep this. But listen, you fight for these people, you fight for these relationships, you fight for these jobs, and they're not putting in the same type of effort and the same type of fight that you're putting into. So it's like you're the only one in the ring fighting for this relationship. You're the only one. You're the only one that cares. You're the only one that cares. And I feel like that in itself is a sign that maybe this is not the relationship. This is not the opportunity. This is not the space and environment for you, right? Let me check my notes, girl. You know, I'd be on a tangent. I really do. I really do. I really do. The other thing is I feel like we have to prove. We always feel like we have to prove ourselves. And that comes from as soon as we are born and we start, wiggling our way around the world, they tell us that we're unworthy. We say we are born sinners and we're born this and we're born that. And it's like you have to prove yourself. You have to prove that you need love. You have to prove that you are worthy to have anything. Okay? The basic needs, you have to prove, like, why should I do this for you? Why should, like, even sometimes parenting and relationships and stuff, because I ain't gonna lie, sometimes parents really do believe that all they're supposed to do is provide the shelter. The clothes, and that is, as long as you got that, then what about the emotional needs? Okay, because especially when there's this study when they did on the monkeys and the things like that, and I don't know if it was the monkeys or what, but it was just like you need nurturing energy, you need the fuzzy, you need the hugs, you need the love, you need that. It's not enough to just have shelter, water, and food. It's not enough for that, because then you have psychological problems, emotional problems, because you grow up and you wonder why people, why aren't you finding the love? Because you never got it when you was a child. All right. So now you're looking for everything in the external world because you never got it when you was a child. You see what I'm saying? And so now we feel like we have to prove this because there must have been a reason why I didn't get XYZ from my mom. It must be a reason I didn't get XYZ from my family or whatever. So I have to go out into the world and find it, right? And then when you're in a relationship, you like, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. I bring this to the table, I bring that to the table, I can do this, I can do that. And that proves that I am a good person and I deserve love. No, you deserve love because you are alive and you're breathing. We all deserve love. There's just the bare minimum. You know what I mean? So you shouldn't have to be in a relationship that is depending on you doing the things that you're doing or you showing up as a certain type of person because that's what that person wants. But what is it that you want? You see, and because we stay in these relationships, we stay in these environments because we believe that this is it. That's really the problem. We think that this is it. We think that this is as good as it's going to be, that this is all there is right here, and so we're just going to hold on to what this is right here. But what if you could have something better? What if you didn't have to struggle in this relationship? What if you didn't have to? What if you just didn't have to play the game anymore? What if you didn't have to show up as a shell of a person to be something for somebody else? What if you could just be who you needed to be for yourself and allowed everything to flow naturally to you? What if? Okay. Anyway, it says, hold on. The thing is, I'm not going to say that hard work and struggle because it's a very fine line. It is a very fine line between hard work and between struggle. I feel like hard work is justifiable, especially when you're trying to build something, because who else gonna build it if you don't do it? Okay. Woo! If you are trying to work on your dreams, if you're trying to have success and you're trying to be an athlete and you're trying to do whatever, you do have to work hard. You do have to practice. You do have to do all of these things. But the thing is, what keeps you going is your belief that this is the path for you, okay? And I'm sure you're getting some positive feedback from this, okay? This is your thing. This is your calling. This is your vibe. This is what, it doesn't even have to be like this is what you're good at, because some people, they might not be good at everything. Like, I'm not good at these lights. I'm not good at these lights. I don't know what's going on with the lights, but I am good at talking. And making sure that you can see me. Okay, and that's all I'm about to do. Okay, but it's just like, you know, I'm sorry. But it's just like sometimes you have to put in the hard work. You do have to learn things. Like, we're not, you know, we know things, but we don't always have everything at our fingertips. Now, there are people that are born with the silver spoon. They have everything in their fingertips. They have everything that is just handed to them. And I feel like for the majority of us, that is not, okay, that is not the case. And it's not fair. It is not fair that some people get things and we don't get these things. But at the same time, I feel like we can use the energy of not having, we have that drive, okay? Because the people that have everything, they don't really have nothing to fight for. They don't have nothing, like their drive, like how do you motivate someone that already have everything? You know, they have everything. So it's like, what would make them happy to have something else? Like, they could do whatever they want. They could be whoever they want. They can create and buy whatever it is that they want already. Okay, so they don't have this thing, this fire, this drive within them to get out the hood. You see, they don't have this drive, this ambition to make something of themselves, because they have already, they're born into it, you see. And I feel like I'm not romanticizing hardship and struggle, but I feel like out of the shadows, you do get that light. You do get things that are a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got the spark. You learn your lesson and you can report back, you see. But sometimes we choose struggle. We choose to go the harder route. Sometimes because we just want to be a martyr, or maybe that's just some people's path. Some people just want to go and do the hard thing, find out the hard way, you know? It's kind of like your parents, and my mom would love to hear me say this, but it's just like, some lessons you just not gonna learn here. Some lessons you don't learn here. You know, you wanna make hard choices and decisions, then fine, you do that. But it's just kind of like, some people really have to learn. But what happens when you consistently choose it, though? You choose the struggle. You choose the hard life. You choose that. Like, you don't have to. I feel like we have our ancestors, we have our families, we have enough awareness and technology to where you can make something out of nothing. We was already doing it, okay? But now you can really, really go 0 to 100 and create something that is yours, right? And innovative and different things of that nature. And I'm not gonna lie, I do think, you know, struggle is going to create that fire and that ambition, so that you can create something, and so that you don't have to go through the things that you've already been through. But I feel like the habits of picking these things over and over has to do with something being broken within ourselves, where you feel like you have to be a martyr, where you feel like you have to prove that you are worthy of having, or maybe you just haven't grasped or fully understood that you are worthy and you don't have to deal with all of this. You don't. You know, and I feel like it's easier said than done, because there are people that, you know, they live in that reality all day and every day. That's all they see, and that's all they've ever seen from everybody around them. Okay, so you be like, you ain't got to struggle. What does that mean? What does that mean? You know what I mean? So, hold on. I like this where it says reframing ease as safety and not laziness. I feel like, you know, we oftentimes feel like if we choose the easier route, the thing that comes the most, like the easiest thing, the easiest thing, like that's a bad thing. For women, it's going to be relying on your looks, being social or just whatever. Like, oh, you didn't work hard for the things that you did because you use your looks. You are not as smart as you blah, 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 blah. Or men, using the musculars and things of that nature. And I just kind of feel like, and this is right there, whose values and whose ideas are you subscribing to? Because we already live in a world where we are exploited. Okay, we are exploited. They take things from us. They take things from other people. And it's just kind of like, you have to get it how you live. So I don't judge anybody for making something better for themselves in an unjust world. Okay, period. What you feel like is the easy way out, or the hard, as long as nobody's getting hurt, then I don't necessarily feel like there's an easy way out or whatever. It's all about, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years and how can you get it better? What can you do for yourself? I feel like we spend a lot of time clock watching other people and what they're doing with their lives, and we're not putting enough effort towards ourselves. The other thing is, we subscribe to the same, people that tell us this. They're exploiting us every single day. Soon as you figure out a way to not have to be exploited anymore, and you do it and somebody else see you do it or whatever, it's just kind of like, oh, you're not. So we enforce the same rules that are exploiting us, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Sometimes you have to play the game to change the game, right? But while you playing the game, don't get yourself caught up, and then you see your heroes turn into the villain. Okay, all right, that's gonna be for my celebrity series. But it's just kind of like, that's the way it is. So we automatically assume that people are sellouts. We automatically assume that people are not doing, because they're not overtly saying and doing and all this other stuff, but it's just kind of like, you have to do what you have to do to get on the other side. As long as nobody hurting anybody and everything like that, I think if you can take the easy way, take the easy way. Because here's the thing, the people that are exploiting us, they are taking the easy way. They're not working every day. They're not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They don't clock in or out. They make sure that you clock in or out, because you're supposed to be making them some money. Okay. And so that's why you can't sit at home and start a business. They don't care about no shutdown. They need you back at the work, at the job. They don't need too many people talking about that they gonna start some businesses. They don't need too many people talking about they not coming in and they gonna be on FMLA. They don't need all of that. They need you to be clocked in, and they need you to be making them some money. So the question is, how can you make yourself some money? How can you prioritize yourself in regards to what other people have going on? Because they're always going to prioritize themselves. They're always going to make sure that their bottom line is in top tier shape. And they don't care whose jobs and whose whatever they have to sacrifice to make sure that they get a profit at the end of the year, or whatever the case may be. So what exactly are you going to do? Right now, I have a video on how to have a soft life, and I might have to go back in there, but it's just kind of like, I saw that some people might not have liked it, and that's okay. Everybody don't like it, but it's just like, sometimes you have to be a little different. You have to think a little different. You have to have your mentality, because just because you look good, just because you got the muscle, it's the mentality, right? It's okay for people to, underwrite you and say that, oh, you're, you know what I mean? Like, you don't look as smart and da-da-da. That's okay. That is okay. People don't have to know that you're smart. People they don't have to know that you're a genius. They don't have to know all of these things. They don't have to know. They will know when you want them to know. And that in itself is power, right? Are y'all reading the books? Okay, the 48 hours of 48 laws of power. Look, 48 hours. Y'all I was thinking about doing a 48-hour fast, but I don't know. Listen, have you read the books? Like, y'all read Robert Greene, but are you really reading it? Are you really digesting it? Are you really putting it into practice? Because it's enough for you to say, oh, okay, I'm going to read this, I'm going to read that. But are you putting it into practice? Are you really like, I practice this every single day? Now, I'm a good person, right? But I don't have to be, right? Because we don't live in a good world. I do what I have to do to make sure that we over here, me and this dog, are good. You see what I'm saying? But it's just like, yeah. Stop subscribing to the same ideals of the people that exploit you, okay? Because they say hard work is good, but they're not working hard. They're working hard at making sure that you're working hard, okay? Making sure, and they outsource that. They outsource that, okay? They work hard at making sure that you're working hard, but they're working hard is outsourcing to make sure that the people that are over you make sure that you get your stuff turned in. And then they come up with all these different hurdles and all these different distractions to make sure that you are still plugged in, okay? Because they don't need you to plug out. They don't want you to pull out the game. They need you to keep playing the game. They want you to keep doing it. But it's like, what if you don't want to play their game? What if you don't want to struggle no more? What if you want to come up with your own thing? And you can. Listen, we need to release the struggle mentality, okay? We need to get out of that. I feel like as a collective, we've done really good at getting out of that struggle love, all right? So I spend a lot of my time talking about, personal accomplishment, personal success, personal goals, dreams, and ambitions. Because I'm not going to lie, I used to want to be in a relationship and that was a goal. Like to be married. I'm from the South. But it's just like, what if your role, like as a creative, is to be more than just creating life for Earth? What if your role, this is woo woo, what if your role is to create something for yourself, to do something for yourself, Yeah, like there's this saying in the South, it's like you start having babies just as a proof that you can do something. But what if on the other end of that, what if you start having dreams, goals, and ambitions and just things that you want to do to prove to yourself that you can do it, right? And I spent a lot of time on that. Now, as far as how to get out of the scarcity, how to get out of the struggle, okay? You're really going to have to reframe your mind. Okay. I feel like constantly choosing the hard thing over and over and over again really speaks to something, not saying that something is wrong with you, but definitely it's giving a therapist, right? Maybe need to do some tapping, maybe some affirmations. I have a video. You can go and make your own affirmations. I feel like the best possible way to reframe your thinking is to come up with some affirmations. Okay, look, if we're gonna pollute the water, okay, at least use it for something good. Okay, we're doing good things with chat. Okay, listen, get you some affirmations. Okay, Google some affirmations of just worthiness, feelings of worthiness, self-belief, self-confidence, okay? So that you can know and you believe that you can do more and you can have more. Abundance is always flowing easily, okay? And expeditiously as well. Yes. I need to check in the mail. Yeah, direct deposit. So it's just kind of like, by having it, and then also as you say it and hear yourself saying these things, these affirmations, it gets embedded and you start to believe it. That's why we have to control what we're listening to. We have to control what we're bringing into our body when we're listening to music and stuff like that, because you start to take on the same beliefs of the things that you listen to, which is why I like to listen to Sade. I like to listen to Beyonce and a little bit. Some people don't like Beyonce. I get it. But listen, she has some affirmations in there. All right, bad girl, bad. I was gonna say bad B, but I don't want no censoring. But just affirmations of confidence, showing up as your best self. Like sometimes you need to hear, like you need to hear that, and so having that music, having your affirmations, right, and only taking in things that you align with on social media and stuff, that is going to help you just on your self-belief. You just need to believe it in yourself. You just have to believe it, okay? You have to, okay? And it's especially important for women to believe that they can have more and be more. And the thing is, like, I don't like it when people try to tell you, like, you should be grateful for what you have. Yes, you should be grateful for what you have, right? But not because you could have had nothing. You could have had worse. That's not why we're grateful. We're grateful because, you know, we're just happy that this happened. Like, we're happy. Like, we're elated, right? Being happy for the things that you have leads to more things, not less. I don't believe in that. Like, I don't like that when they're like, you need to eat your food because it's people that don't have, you know? No, because you can get more by believing that and thankful for the things that you have. You know, like, I don't feel like it has to always be tied to not having, right? You can have and have more. They're not saying that we should ever aspire to be like billionaires, but they have, and they are always trying to figure out, right? Evil geniuses, how can I get more? Dr. Evil, how can I get more? How can we get more? We need more. We need more. Like, you need to be like that. How can I have more opportunity? How can I have more, you know, positive engagements, positive opportunities, positive relationships, positive interaction, positive. How can I have more? I need more. I need more. This is good, but I need more. This is good, but I need to get the great. I need to get there. How do we get there? How can we have that? Okay? Instead of concentrating on the struggle, instead of concentrating on the hardship. Okay, now the hardship builds character. Yeah, but at the same time, how much character do you need? How much character do you need? How much good wisdom, knowledge, and understanding do you really need? You know, because it's giving, I'm finna just keep trying stuff just to try it. I'm gonna stick with the people I know because I know them. Even though we don't like each other, I'm gonna stick with this. You know, no, let me check my notes, make sure I said everything I was supposed to say. I be going off the thing. Okay. I really wanted to make sure that I didn't gloss over the fact that we do live in systematic racism. We do live in these types of things, but just because we live in these types of societal vibes doesn't mean that we have to succumb to it. Okay, we are the people that are overcoming. Okay, we are always overcoming. We are always making a way out of no way. And if we just believe that this is all that was available, then we wouldn't have the good things that we have now. So what I'm saying is, you know, you don't have to struggle anymore. You don't struggle by choosing not to struggle, by choosing not to align yourself with struggling. Okay, now hard work is hard work because we're putting aligned effort, okay, so that we can get a desired result. That is what we're trying to do. But we're not struggling in the sense of we're picking things that are bad for us. You know, we're choosing people that are bad for us. You know, yeah, like that's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully it makes sense. Okay, because I feel like sometimes when you say you don't have to struggle, you don't have to do all of that, you know what I mean? People feel like, oh, you know, like it just has this negative vibe toward it, but it's just like you don't have to struggle. And it's not a matter of, oh, I can just wish away all of my problems. That's not what I'm saying either. You know what I mean? But it does start with changing your mindset. Okay, you do have to change your mindset. And I feel like a lot of times some of us don't want to change our mindset. We don't want to see what's possible because we're too afraid of the unknown. We automatically assume that the unknown is automatically going to have something bad in it. So we rather stay with what we've already been seeing, right? And then the other thing is we feel like we have to see some type of a proof. And if you've only seen struggle, if you've only seen people that are struggling and doing stuff and it's not working and their lives are just all in shambles, then you automatically assume that that is the norm, and you start to enforce those same things. You start to become that crab in a bucket. Now, everybody don't become a crab in a bucket just because. Okay, somebody had to have had some proof of, it ain't gonna work, so I'm gonna pull you down, da 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 da. Somebody had to have had that happen to them first, and so it's a learned behavior, right? But you can unlearn the learned behavior, and you create your own opportunities for yourself, your own energy, just everything. You know what I mean? But it really does start with your mindset. Okay, it really does start with your mindset, because my thing is, just like there are people that work hard for the things that they get and struggle and da 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 da, there are people that don't. Okay, and that's not to say that struggling on your first thing as you are trying to do hard work is a bad thing. But what I am saying is, when you struggle, you do your hard work, you're supposed to learn a lesson. And if you ain't learned your lesson and you are consistently not learning your lesson, it's like you keep failing first grade. What's the problem here? Okay? Do we need to get you something a little stronger? Okay? You need extra professionals to come and give you some type of tutorials or something. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Okay? All right. I hope we drove it home. Forgive me. We're going to figure out this lighting situation, because I don't know what's going on. All right, but I will see